Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode here on ESGNet. We're back here for NCAA Football 14. This is the Highland Scotties Teambuilder Dynasty here on the channel. So this is going to be a quick video. Okay, maybe not so quick, but we're gonna actually go through these next 2 weeks here, weeks 14 and 15 real quick, because both weeks are bye weeks for the Scotties as they are preparing for their game here against possibly the Crimson Tide. So but there you see the numbers there for Flanagan. Over 2,000 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 16 interceptions there for him for the season, 22 sacks there. And of course, Flanagan was benched a couple of games there, giving the Rush an opportunity to do something. Rush 8 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. There you see 41 of 57 with 711 yards for the season. And of course, Flanagan just at 2,876. So a pretty good season here for these players and for this team here. Currently undefeated for the season. The last 2 seasons, seasons 1 and 2, we've lost. Of course, the first season we played unexpectedly. Was not expecting them to go all the way to the national championship, and then of course we got defeated by Alabama there. Got a good reality check there. And we're hoping to see if we can return back to the national championship this season and face that same, not at least the same team, but at least the Crimson Tide here, as they are the #1 team in the nation. Now, as for of course, last season we lost against LSU, but we're able to bounce back with a couple of games and get back into the national championship picture and winning our first ever national championship. Now, a lot of these guys you see here, a lot of these juniors and seniors will probably not be here next season, and we'll talk about that in another episode, I believe, in a upcoming Scotty Sports Talk. But yeah, let's take a look there. Kason, of course, up for the Heisman, up again like as last year he won it. 24 rushing touchdowns, 1,448 yards there with 238 attempts. Of course, there you see the rest of the numbers there. Flanagan and Rush both have 5 rushing touchdowns, just a little over 200 yards apiece from both of those guys. And then, of course, Alexander and McCollum both have 1, along with Mays there in the rushing department. Of course, we are going to be having possibly a new halfback next season, that being, I believe, McCollum. As he's getting, I believe he'll get a couple more, at least when I talked to the coaches there, they said they're going to get some more touches to him, try to get him integrated into they've been trying to get him integrated into the system here a lot here this season, but, trying to get, Flanagan, or not Flanagan, well, yeah, both Flanagan and Kason into the picture of the Heisman race. And of course, Kason is up, he's in there with Jalen Hurts, and a couple others there for the Heisman here. We'll see a Heisman watch, at least the latest Heisman watch here, I believe, in this episode. But CC receiving there, Hunter Cannon, 1,580 yards, 9 touchdowns. But Grady Little, 11 touchdowns there, 54 receptions, 882 yards, just shy of 1,000 this year. I really thought we could get him 1,000 yards there, but just a couple games there we just could not get to him. He was pretty well covered there, and we just don't want to chance it there, especially with Flanagan trying to stay in the area of interceptions, try to the single digits there, but we ended up getting him 16 for the season there. Of course, not all of them are his fault, but for the most part, he's the quarterback. He's going to take most of the blame there for those throws there, even if they were on target and the receiver was not paying attention. That's going to be on him. Take a look at the blocking there. You guys can check those out there. And of course, now defense here. You take a look at the defensive numbers. Sheldon Sherman's a guy that we're definitely going to miss. He has got 20 sacks for the season. He had 22 tackles for loss for the regular season here, and just a great player there. He's just a cornerstone of that defensive line there, and he is definitely going to be missed greatly in that one. So we'll have to see who the next guy could be. It could be Ramsauer. He has good potential to be that guy there on the defensive line there that can really jump out and have a breakthrough season. I can't remember exactly what year he is. I think we'll see here in just a bit what year. I want to say he's a sophomore, but he could be a junior, or if he's a red shirt junior, then he could be back next season. Mark Hort, he will not be here no more. He had 4 sacks there. He had the second most tackles for loss. Okay, I didn't see what Ramshire was, but yeah, just, we're going to lose a lot of our players are going to be from the defensive side of the ball there. So it's going to be a tough. I don't see us, depending on what our schedule is. Well, yeah, I didn't say what the schedule is going to be like next year. I think we'll have more of an update on that here pretty soon. I actually was thinking about moving to the Big 12 early next season, but since I've kind of got the schedules kind of written out already of what we're going to do. Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. I think we may still keep the same plan of going to the Big 12 there in year 5. I think next year we'll just finish off as an independent, and just because those are we do have some schools that I do want to play, and I'll show you guys. I'll talk about that schedule here coming up in the Scotties Sports Talk. There we'll talk about the upcoming schedule for next year, what we have scheduled for next season, or at least the idea of who we want to play for next season. Hopefully we can get those chances to play those guys. But there you see the kicking numbers there, and definitely we've got 2 great kickers coming up here next season. One is going to be our kicker. They're both kickers, but one of them is, I don't know which is going to be which because they're both equally good. So we'll just see from their overalls and stuff like that who's going to be the kicker, who's going to be the punter for next season. There you see the return numbers. We didn't get no returns, no touchdown returns or punt returns from Page this year. But Page is another offensive, at least on the offensive side too. We're going to lose quite a few guys there too, and that's just going to be tough to try to replace that young man there. So there you see the top 25 as we go into week 14 here. This is what it looks like in week 14. Alabama at number 1. Of course, we're at number 2. We don't have any game this week. Ohio State there playing, of course, Michigan, and that classic rivalry there. Clemson going to be going ahead and they'll be facing off South Carolina. Kansas State will be playing Baylor. Auburn and Alabama. This is the game I'm looking forward to because last year, remember, they won the Iron Bowl and they knocked out Alabama for that national championship there. So I'm hoping that they can do another upset there, and that'll bump us up 1. And we'll probably end up playing maybe Ohio State if Ohio State keeps playing the way they've been playing. But there you see the rest of the top 25. And of course, there you see the 2 that dropped out: Florida State from number 10 last week, and Stanford for number 14. Now, take a look at the BCS rankings here, and there you see last week we were number 1, this week we're number 2. Alabama was number 2 last week, they're number 1 this week, and then you see the rest of those. Auburn's jumped up some. Georgia still has, we'll see, Ole Miss actually dropped down 1. Texas dropped down from 6 to 9, and there you see the rest of the top 25 there in the BCS rankings here. So there's still 1 more week of rankings, and then after week 15, after 2 more weeks of rankings, or 3 more weeks. This week, next week, and then of course week 16, which is the conference championship games. After the conference championship games, then we'll get a better picture of who's going to be playing in what bowls coming up here, and we'll have that coming up in the next episode. In episode 52, we'll go ahead, take a look at the. I'll show you guys the games, and possibly I may, depending on some of what the schedule looks like, and I think we'll show that here in this episode what the conference championship games look like. I may end up simming some of those games so you guys can see and see how they played out, and then maybe have the following episode have a quick chat about those games and whatnot. But yeah, for the most part here, conference championship week. After that week, we'll know who the Heisman Trophy winner is. We'll see if Kason can return as a 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. We haven't seen one since Archie Griffin, way back in the day there. And we'll see if we can get our second Heisman Trophy winner, or our second Heisman Trophy. Our second Heisman Trophy, but our first person to ever win it twice in school history there. So that'd be nice to see that on the mantle there at Highland for Coach Teddy Bonds for recruitment wise. But there you see at week 14 some of the top 25 games there. Some really good matchups, a lot of rivalry games. You got a USC and LSU game, or UCLA and USC there. Alabama, of course, Auburn, that classic Iron Bowl game. Ohio State and Michigan, I mentioned earlier. Georgia and Georgia Tech. What else do you got there? You got a good matchup there against Texas Tech and Oklahoma State there. Nice Big 12 game. And then, of course, Washington against Washington State there. Washington State 0-11, 0-7 in conference. But we'll look at Washington there. Of course, last year they were the best team in America, as I believe they were number 1 in the nation going into the national championship game, losing 2 games, getting in still. And this year, a different story. As for Clemson, they're going to be going against South Carolina, and that one, of course, a classic right there. North Carolina and Duke. That is rivalry in football is becoming even more popular, almost just as popular as their classic rivalry in basketball here in the last couple of years. Notre Dame, of course, Stanford there in that game, and then Ole Miss and Mississippi State there in that one. Nice classic Civil War battle there, or Civil War rivalry game. In that one, the state of Mississippi. And then, of course, Arizona State there to wrap up the night in that one. You see Arizona State, I believe, 10-1 for the year. Now, Charles Massey, wide receiver there, 81 overall. He is in a battle along with another James, I forgot what James something. But we got a battle between us and another school. So those two young men we're going to try to go after here. But there's a score here now after week 14. Take a look at some of the scores here. Not really a close one there in Ohio State and Michigan. Michigan again loses in that one. Let's see. What was it? I could have sworn there was a game in here that was really, really close. Could have went either way, but I can't remember which one it was. But you know, some good classic rivalry. So hopefully, if your team's on this list here, hopefully they got a win. And we'll see how things go there. You see California beating BYU 31-21. USC beating the cross city rival there, UCLA, 38-23. Alabama, oh my god, okay. Alabama definitely got revenge from last year, 49-14 there in that one. Oklahoma 48-21 against TCU. And okay, yeah, this is the one I was looking at. West Virginia beating Texas 35-30, and then Clemson beats South Carolina 34-17, and another close one here. North Carolina beating Duke, and a final score of 31-24 in that one. So that was that Texas. I knew it was somebody. I knew it was a Big 12 game that was going to be close. And of course, you know, Big 12 known for not the best in defense there, but definitely pretty looks like when I was looking at the box score, they looked pretty interesting there for a game, a good back and forth game. But West Virginia able to pull that one out. We'll go ahead and look at a couple other scores there, and you see Arizona State keeping their undefeated streak there in conference, 8-0 now in the Pac-12, but 11-1 overall, beating Arizona. So now after week 14, as we go now to week 15, Alabama is still at number 1 there. Of course, they got a big win there against Auburn, definitely getting revenge from last year. Of course, they were sitting at number 2 there. We did not fall. Ohio State and they're still tied. They've got 3 teams right there at 12-0. So really, anyone can go anywhere. Ohio State, I believe, will be in a Big 12 champion, or not Big 12, the Big 10 championship there in Indy here in 2 weeks. Clemson, Kansas State there in the top 5. They remain from same place they were last week. West Virginia jumps up from 11-6. Georgia jumps up from 9-7. Arizona jumps up from 2 spots from 10 to 8. USC jumps up 3 spots from number 12. And then just go down the list there. Texas, Oklahoma, Western Kentucky, Ohio, Ole Miss, Florida Atlantic, and North Carolina. And the list goes on. And of course, got some new ones there on the list now. Mississippi now on the list here. Stanford, California, University of Central Florida, Texas Tech. So got some pretty good names there, jumping up on the list there for the first, not for the first time, but at least since recently. Then you see the ones that dropped out. It looks like Washington, Notre Dame, BYU, Arizona, and Michigan all dropped out. And then of course the first place votes there for a few teams like Virginia Tech and such. But there you see the Heisman watch right now, and right there neck and neck with Jalen Hurts is no other than Wendell K-Son there, 5'9", 195 pounds, I believe. And he is neck and neck with Jalen Hurts here. He had a pretty good, impressive game there in that game against Virginia. But, with not having a conference championship game to play in, I'm hoping that was enough. Hopefully they look at the whole body of work that he had for the season. And we'll see how things go. Now, K-Son does have a vote for. He can vote for himself there in that for the Heisman this year, because when you win the Heisman, you can, you have a vote of who should get it. But we'll see if that whole body of work that he had this season. He wasn't that, he had a couple big games there. He did pretty well in, but for the most part, the running game was kind of middle of the road. Wasn't as exciting as it was last year, as we were trying to get Flanagan involved in the Heisman run there, but he had didn't have a great year. But take a look at week 15 here in the NCAA, and of course there you see a rivalry game between Texas and Texas Tech, and then a couple other games there. I'm sure people will be taking notice. And then you see our battle here again here. Charles Massey, Jesus Reyes, and Steve Stanley there. A couple guys there that we're looking at there, a couple battles, and for those with other schools there. And like I said, we're keep an update on those as we go along here. If we don't sign them between now and before the conference championship games, then we'll have to go really hard on really going after them and really try to convince them as we go to the off season and as we go into season 4. But there you see the scores there. A lot of last minute games here, a lot of Sun Belt games here. A lot of you probably won't really care or matter to some of you guys, but we got a couple rivalry games there that I think a lot of other people would probably enjoy watching. Usually the last couple weeks there in school, the season here in college football, not much going on because everybody's kind of focusing on the upcoming bowl announcements and, of course, the championship games, conference championship games, stuff like that. We'll see here in just a bit. But we'll go ahead and look here, and this is the top 25 after week 15 going into week 16. And there you see there, we're still at number 2. Alabama's still at number 1. And they play Georgia, number 7 Georgia, coming up in that conference championship, the SEC championship there in Atlanta. And that should be a good one there. We're definitely rooting for the, even though we beat them twice now in this franchise here, but we're going to be rooting for the Jake Fromm and the Bulldogs down there in Georgia. And then you see the top, the ones that dropped out here. Oklahoma State ranked number 23, and then Texas Tech ranked number 24 there. BYU got a couple of votes there, first place votes, along with Michigan, Wake Forest, Pittsburgh, Oklahoma State, and name a few there. So we'll take a look here, and again, pretty much now everybody's at even standings here. So the big question is, who is going to walk away with the Heisman Trophy coming up here after next week? Well, we'll have to find out after the we'll find out actually in the next episode of who is going to win that here But right now we're going to take a quick look at around the conference standings here. Of course, we are undefeated in Independence. Of course, the Independents don't have a championship because, you know, we're Independents. And then you take a look at the MAC here. Ohio, 8-4. They're really impressive there. You know, people always make fun of the Ohio, the Bobcats there. They're not the real Ohio school and all that kind of stuff, but they were pretty impressive there. Of course, you got the Buffaloes there. And then, of course, you got Illinois there, top of the West there. Surprisingly enough, San Diego State, 6-5 there. That is where Coach Alan Lawrence is, and he's had a really great year. We had a pretty good game against him, and he is doing a good job there. He's really turning things around there at that program. And, of course, we'll play him next year at home there at Highland in a matchup there. But there you see, they take the Mountain West, West Division there, and there you see 6-5 there, 6-2 for conference. In the division, they are 4-1, so a really good year for them. There you see Arizona State, 11-1. I believe they'll be taking on California in the Pac-12 game there. Take a look at California, 8-4. Along with Washington, 8-4. I believe in the head-to-head, I think California had that, so they'll be facing Arizona State. Arizona State, 11-1 there, very impressive there. And then take a look at SEC. Of course, Alabama and Georgia are going to go head-to-head for the SEC championship. And of course, that is a game Coach Teddy Bonds and company will be watching, because they'll be probably end up facing Alabama if Alabama keeps rolling on the way they have been. There you see 12-0, 9-0 in conference, and Ole Miss right behind them, 9-3. And wow, that really says something. We'll be playing Ole Miss again next year. We will be playing them in Oxford, and I'm a little scared about that team. That was a one team in this schedule that really got me. It just like, wow, they're good. They got a good team, and I cannot wait to see what happens next year when we play them in Oxford. Take a look at the ACC, and there you see the standings there, overall standings. Take a look at the Colt Atlantic here. Of course, Clemson, 11-1, 8-1 for the conference. And there you see there, Louisville last. We played them, and they had a horrible year. They started off really well, but then just dropped off. Virginia Tech winning the Coastal. And then American, there you see UCF, Houston, SMU, Temple, Tulsa. And those round out the that's pretty much the top half of the standings there. Take a look at the East there, UCFF, Temple, and then the West, Houston, SMU. Houston and SMU is two teams I've been really thinking about adding to the Big 12. I kind of want to make the Big 12 kind of like the big, kind of one of the Super 16 conferences there. Let me know down below what teams you think should join the Big 12 besides us and BYU. I would love to hear what your guys' comments are about that and stuff like that. Because I really, at some point here, and of course it wouldn't be like next season, not when we start, in year 5 there when we go back to the Big 12, but maybe somewhere down along the line, like maybe once we get like maybe in year 10 or something like that, we could add another 2 more teams to it. So let me know down below who you think who should go into the Big 12, and then what other big or conference should have a 16-team conference there. So let me know down below. Take a look at the Big 10. Wisconsin, of course, the leaders in that, along with Nebraska and Minnesota. They're all with 7-5 records, and then Conference USA. Actually, another idea I had. I'm going to steal this one from the guys over at TNJ here on YouTube. They do a kind of like a kind of like what soccer does. You regulate teams, and I was thinking about doing that, taking another conference and like Conference USA or the MAC or something like that, and then taking the 2 teams that do well in that one, and bring them up to the Big 12, and then whatever the 2 bottom teams are in the Big 12. Both from the north and south, or one team from the south and one team from the north, so 2 teams really from the Big 12 will go to the MAC, and they just have to play well to get back in. So I was kind of thinking about doing something like that, but I then kind of think about, okay, which schools or which conferences do we, team up with to do that and stuff like that. So if you guys got any ideas or anything like that that I should try or look at, let me know down below in the comments. Let me know, but down below in the comments section, what I'm trying to say here, and let me know. And I kind of think of it geographically. That would make sense. I know, Pac-12, or I mean not Pac-12, but in the Big 10 or the Big 12, you got West Virginia out east, and of course now we're bringing in BYU from the west. But just something that makes sense geographically, as close into the Midwest as possible. Or if you think there's a conference that we should join, that it would be fun for me to play in, let me know down below in the comment section. Like I said, we can change. Year 5, anything's possible. But of course, that's another season or so away. Because coming up will be year 4, and we got a schedule that we'll show you guys coming up here in the next, or at least the next episode of Scotty Sports Talk. So that is it for this week. This episode for today, episode 52. As take a look, their conference championship week is coming up, and we will show you guys those games. And we already showed you the matchups there, but there's a good possibility you might see some of those games will be simmed and shown here on the channel, possibly sometime later on within in a couple of days or so here on the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell notification so you guys can be a part of the ESGN Nation. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Discord. Links are down below in the description. Check those out and be a part of the ESGN Nation. That is it for this episode of the Highland Scotties Teambuilder Dynasty here on ESGNet. As always, keep yourselves healthy and go Scotty Nation. See you guys next time.